New York State judge has ruled former President Trump committed fraud while building his real estate empire. The ruling was made in a civil lawsuit brought by New York's Attorney General. The judge found the former president and his company overvalued assets on paperwork used in making deals. The decision comes days before the start of a non-jury trial in that case.
So today I'm going to talk about this topic, which is quite controversial to some of you guys, but let's ignore the person on this title. Let's just focus on the topic on hand, which is what I'm here today as a realtor talking about real estate. The New York civil fraud judgment against Trump and the plan to seize Trump-owned property is simply a taking, much like what is done in communist countries. And political facts say this is false. So is it true or false from the real estate perspective? Let's begin. Now this is from political fact. Fact-checking Trump's false claim about his real estate case and land grab in communist countries. New York Judge Arthur Engoron ordered former President Donald Trump to pay a US $454 million bond after determining during a trial that Trump committed fraud related to his real estate valuation. An appeal court on March 25th lowered that amount to $175 million US. New York Attorney General Letitia has taken the first step towards seizing Trump's own property in Westchester County, New York. If Trump doesn't pay the bond, unlike in communist country, Trump had a due process including a long and public legal procedure. Former President Donald Trump compared his civil fraud judgment against him and possible plan by the New York Attorney General to seize some of his property with the actions of communist dictators. I did nothing wrong, Trump wrote March 22nd in a Truth Social post that criticizing Judge Arthur Engoron and Attorney General Letitia. This is simply a taking, much like what is done in communist countries. Experts told us the civil fraud case and potential property seizure against Trump is not the same as what happened in communist countries. Daniel Shaviro, a taxation professor at New York's University School of Law, called Trump comparison ridiculous in an email in PolitiFact.
Excuse me, what fraud? This is not about Trump anymore. When you get a developer that builds a building and he says it's worth $400 million and he wants to borrow $200 million from a bank, which happens every day, everywhere on earth, including every American city, every developer is an entrepreneur. They shine the light on their building and they say it's worth 400. The bank does its own due diligence, as was done in this case, because they're very good at it. The banks are very good, and they say, no, it's worth 300. We're only going to loan you 150 million. That haggling has gone on for decades. That's how it works. And then in this case, even the bank that was supposedly defrauded testified and said, we didn't lose anything. We want to do business with this guy again. We'd like to, but the judge said, no. Let's penalize this developer for 355 million. And if we're going to do that, let's penalize all the developers all across America. They've all done the same thing.
He has fined as a consequences of legal proceeding of fraud, Shaviro said. James filed a fraud case against Trump in 2022, giving Trump loads of time to plan for this scenario, Shaviro said. After a trial that lasted more than 2 months, Engoron ruled February 16 that Trump has inflated the value of many of the real estate to get more favorable loans and insurance terms. The judgment was predicted on extensively documented misrepresentation by Trump, Shaviro said. The court decision involved legitimately an adversarial legal proceeding and the rule of law, not to mention extensive evidence that was presented by the plaintiff, Shaviro said, which makes it different from expropriation in communist country. James' office filed paperwork to begin taking Trump's asset in Westchester County, New York, where his golf course and private estate, Seven Springs, are, if Trump do not pay the bond. Trump has also faced a March 25th deadline to secure a bond to cover a $454 million US judgment and interest rate as he appeals the ruling. But the appeal courts on March 25th lowered the amount to $175 million US and gave Trump 10 days to pay it. Trump wrote March 25th on Truth Social, "We will abide by the decision of the appellate division and post either a bond equivalent securities or cash.
Former President Donald Trump has secured a $175 million bond in his New York civil fraud case. Trump secured the bond through Knight Specialty Insurance Company. Last Monday, a panel of judges from New York's appellate division granted the former president, his adult sons, and two former Trump Organization executives a 10-day stay of the $464 million judgment in their civil fraud case and permitted them to post a reduced bond.
Trump's case is not comparable to property seizure by a totalitarian regime, not by a long shot, said Sebastian Arcos, Associate Director of Cuban Research Institute of Florida International University. Ted Hagen, a sociologist at Baruch College, City University in New York, and Cuban culture expert, said in communist countries, seizure or nationalization of property are often focused on foreign-owned properties and are much asserted of economic sovereignty over key industries as they are punished for illegal behavior. When the government seizes property owned by local residents, it does so via executive decree that lacks supporting legal procedures, a chance to defense, or public transparency. Hello guys, for those who are new to this channel, my name is Chester Cheng. I'm a professional realtor in Malaysia for over 12 years. I have a bit of experience talking about this issue, as yes, I know this could be a very political or sensitive topic for some of you guys who are supporting Trump or against Trump.
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Let's remove Trump out of the picture. Let's name him Mr. Abu Bakar, Mr. Ashburn. So by replacing this person, Mr. Trump, but to Abu Bakar, did this person, Abu Bakar, frauded the banks or the community or even the government? If Mr. Abu Bakar decides to sell his property or refinance his property in Malaysia, he will need to go to a bank to appraise his property. Assuming Mr. Abu Bakar said, hey, my property is worth 2 million ringgit. Do you think the bank will say, yes sir, Mr. Abu Bakar, your property is worth 2 million ringgit as you said, because we believe you, because we trust you, because you stay in the house, you stay in the property, you own the property, you are the one that determines the value of the property. Do you think that's how it works in Malaysia? Not to mention in New York? Well, as a realtor, I can tell you it doesn't work like that. What the bank will do is actually they will appoint a licensed valuer to value your property and will tell you, Mr. Abu Bakar, that this property of yours is not worth 2 million ringgit. We value it at 1.5 million ringgit because that's how much we see it. So what can Abu Bakar say? Can he accept the bank's valuation of 1.5 million ringgit? Yes, he could. Or he could come back and say, no, Mr. Bank, I think it's worth more than that. Perhaps you can check with your other valuer whether we can reach a higher valuation since I did some renovation to the house. So the bank said, alright, let me send my valuer to your house to do an inspection. So they did, and they go and they check and they take photograph, they do some measurements. The owner also provide some documentation. So they come back after that to Mr. Abu Bakar. Well, Mr. Abu Bakar, after another round of due diligence checking and also some documentation which you provided, we feel that our valuer agreed your property is now valued at 1.8 million after the extension. So that's how it works in the real world. Even if Mr. Abu Bakar decides to sell his property, the bank will say this is 1.8 million, but not 2 million. So this applies to Mr. Abu Bakar if he decides to refinance his property or even to sell his property. So that's how it works. Well, unfortunately, if you inject politics into this real estate transaction, it could be very messy. So in this video episode, we're not going to talk about the politics side of it, and also we're not going to talk about the law judgment of it. We're going to talk purely on the real estate. Now plug back Mr. Trump into the picture. Did the bank lose money in these transactions? So the question is very simple. No. Professionally, as a realtor, I find Mr. Abu Bakar no fault. That is my honest and professional opinion about this topic. So what do you guys think? Is my opinion correct or wrong? Write in the comments down below. Let's have a discussion about it. And tell me, what do you think is the right method to go about it if you decide to sell your property? And if you decide to overvalue it, and the bank accepted your value, should you go to a prison or should you be fined hundreds of millions of ringgit? Write in the comments below and let's have a discussion. So that's all for this video topic. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, smash the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing by clicking on the subscription button below, and I hope to see you in my next video.